the first thing that we do when we work with a group is that we ask them, so what are your hardest conversations? And we started noticing a pattern, which was that feedback was coming up a lot. To put a finer point on it, feedback showed up on that list 100% of the time across 6 continents and all different industries. It didn't matter who we were talking to. It didn't matter why they brought us in or what we were talking about. The first thing that would always come up is giving honest feedback. Because the receiver, they get defensive, or they get demotivated, or you hurt your relationship. So who needs it? But quickly on the heels of that came up, people would name, well, but receiving feedback that's unfair or it's off base and definitely poorly delivered, really in front of everybody else at the meeting or by text, seriously. And so the usual fix for that in organizations is to teach givers how to give. So you get all the managers together and you train them to give it more skillfully and more often and more persistently if it's delivered or if it's resisted. And that makes a lot of sense. We teach that stuff too. But eventually it occurred to us that actually, in many cases, it doesn't matter how much power or authority or skill the giver has. The receiver is actually the one who's in charge of what they let in, what sense they make of it, and whether and how they choose to change. I don't know about you, but I have a very ambivalent relationship to receiving feedback. There are times where I'm working with someone, it's so incredibly helpful, I can feel myself improve, I'm getting better at something, you've got a mentor that you really trust or a coach, it's exhilarating. And then there are other times where I get the offhand criticism from my mother-in-law or from a peer who's, clearly the problem is them in terms of them being difficult to work with. And feedback can also be incredibly painful. One of the reasons then, and this is the starting place for us, feedback is hard because we are conflicted about it. And we have really varied experiences with it. Feedback actually sits at the crux of 2 human needs. Number 1 is the human need to learn and grow, to achieve mastery, to get better at something. That is hardwired into us, right? It's why we're addicted to those games, right? To getting a better score. But sitting right alongside that is the need to be accepted, respected, loved, to feel safe just the way you are now. And the very fact of feedback often suggests that how you are now isn't quite a-okay. And so I don't think this tension is going to go away, but it helps us understand why, even though we're always told and we sometimes experience feedback as a gift, sometimes it feels more like a colonoscopy, okay? What the studies show is that people who seek out negative feedback at work, and in the literature what they mean by negative feedback is that you're not just going around fishing for compliments. You're actually asking, what could I improve? Those people adapt more quickly to new roles, they report higher satisfaction, and they get higher performance reviews. And so it's not just that you elicit learning that accelerates your own learning curve, it's also that asking for coaching changes the way other people see you. And so it can be a powerful tool to have in your toolbox, and then you don't have to wait around for the perfect giver. Because mostly our lives are populated by everybody else. So we got to learn how to learn something from all kinds of givers who sometimes are off base, unfair, they deliver it poorly, and yet we're going to find something valuable in it.